Hi, this will be the first video I fully edit and upload to my channel, and I wanted it to be something special. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is currently my favorite anime slash manga of all time. That being said, with the upcoming Part 9 JOJOLANDS, or apparently the JOJOLANDS, as it is seen written in the latest Ultra Jump cover just around the corner, I wanted to make this video theorizing about the setting, story, and main character of this new and very exciting part. After all, it'll be the first time most Western readers of the manga will experience a new part started, and JoJoLand having started its publication before the 2012 anime by W production and the subsequent rise in popularity the manga experienced. With that in mind, let's target some of the more puzzling aspects of this new part and theorize what could be. So far, every JoJo part has moved forward in time, since part 1 starting in an 1880s England setting and culminating in Florida 2011 for part 6. The only exception to this rule has been part 7. As the start of a new universe, it takes place in an 1890s version of the US, and it is followed by a jump of over 120 years into the future, with part 8 taking place in Morio around 2011. This would mean that logically part 9 could take place in the future again. The only clue so far is that it will take place in some subtropic islands, with 2 sketches by Araki showing some islands and a sailboat. But another statement by Araki could conflict with this idea, taking into consideration the possibility of the source being sketchy, wrong translations, or the habit a portion of the fanbase has to misinterpret Araki's words and spread that like wildfire. This is what came into my feed a few weeks ago. The next JoJo protagonist will be a descendant of Joseph Joestar. Now that piece of information could in fact throw a wrench into a possible 2012 or beyond part. After all, Joseph Joestar is a well-known character in the previous universe, and this universe Joseph Joestar was seen during a flashback at the end of JoJoLand, where his story was then summarized by Araki at the end. If the next protagonist is truly a descendant of Joseph's, that leaves us with a few possibilities that could make sense. The first one being that this universe Joseph Joestar is more akin to his multiversal counterpart than we could have thought, not only sharing a stand name but also the possibility of an affair while married to this universe Suzuki. A second and a little more redeeming possibility is that Joseph unknowingly had a child with someone else before leaving for the US and marrying Suzuki. This is not entirely out of the question, since during the flashback we can see that Joseph had a girlfriend in Japan at this time. Even so, both of these would support the theory that the part takes place before part 8, given that Joseph would be 77 years old or older at the time part 8 takes place. Unless the protagonist is not an offspring of Joseph's, but a child of his. Now, taking the previous 2 possibilities and a third one coming up, a future story could make sense. The main problem is that this third possibility is a bit absurd. It relies on this universe Yoshigaki Kira having a child that he probably knew nothing about. Now, I know it's a little bit ridiculous, but he was a sailor, a marine doctor or surgeon. It is possible that he, how do I keep this YouTube friendly? Found his Mona Lisa, or at least a substitute for a night. Also, this might be relevant or not, but Kira had a sailboat, as seen in the Vitamin C flashback. Possibly an inheritance to his child? I don't know. But nah, I know it doesn't make much sense, but it is a valid possibility, so I had to mention it. The first 2 are tied simply into this. Whether Joseph had a child before or after his marriage with Suzuki, that child then had a child of their own, and that makes up our protagonist, who, going by the recent trend, could be 19 years old. So far, 19 is the oldest the main part character has been. An age shared by Jolene, Joni, and Josuke. Maybe Araki will break through this barrier and make the part 9 main character older, but I doubt it. As far as the setting of the part is concerned, I can't really surmise anything that would be even considered a possibility. One of the greatest things about JoJo is that every part is unique in their own ways, with the only similarities so far is that part 4 and 8 share a town name, but completely different stories and setups. There was a translation going around about the theme of the part, which so far part 7 and 8 have had. Part 7 roughly being a story about how Johnny Joestar is able to walk again, and part 8 being a story about breaking a curse. For part 9, it is apparently a story about a boy who becomes rich in the subtropical islands. Now, the how or why is completely unknown. Maybe he finds some treasure while sailing from island to island, akin to many pirate stories, including One Piece, or he finds something that makes him rich by the end, like the Rokagaga fruit or something similar. But once more, probably any guess is bound to be wrong, and Araki will surprise us all. Now, last but not least, the main character themselves. There's a lot of questions surrounding them. What is their name, sense, name and power, personality, motives, goals, etc. I guess we truly won't know until the first chapter is released. And for some of these questions, it might take multiple chapters. Just as a reminder, we didn't see Tusk or Soft One for many chapters after the debut of the part. With 1 chapter a month, it might likely take over a year for us to see their stand. But yet again, it might not. Both Johnny and Josuke were either inexperienced with their stand and didn't know they had one, as it is the case with Josuke, or only obtain one later in the manga, as it is the case with Johnny. This new protagonist might already have their stand and know how to use it from the beginning of the part, which means it might make an appearance right at the start, or a few chapters in. Now, as for the name of the protagonist, if we're to follow the trends with part 7 and 8, then there are only two possible names he could have. Either Giorno Giovanna or Jotaro Kujo. Now, I know technically Kira, Josefumi, and Kei represent Jotaro in this new universe, but that doesn't mean that Jotaro Kujo is impossible. After all, Josefumi's full name is Josefumi Kujo, and in his first appearance he had a Joestar birthmark, which some people are quick to dismiss, stating that it was Kira who already intended to have the birthmark, and that it doesn't appear later on. I have my theories about the second part, but that's a topic for another video. For now, the only thing I'll target is the first part, which is very simple. It's not that Araki mistakenly drew the birthmark on Josefumi, it's that he drew it and zoomed in on it on the panel next to that. One time could be a mistake, but back to back like that clearly shows intent. And with the Joestar lineage being as large as it is in this new universe, it's not impossible that the Kujos got tied back around into the family tree. Lastly, before wrapping up the video, a quick and simple theory about the main character's stand name, which clearly by the most recent artwork we got indicates that it will be November Rain by Guns N' Roses. There's no other possibility after such clear evidence. I for one am glad we're getting such a cool stand name. But on a serious note, my favorite stand in part 7 was Catch the Rainbow, mostly because it allowed Araki to draw some very stunning panels that captivated me when I first read it and when I first reread it later. So if the main character's stand is actually November Rain, I'll be happy. Also, it wouldn't be the first time we had a character with their stand name on their body. I mean, just look at Kei and Going Underground, later renamed Born This Way, but I like Going Underground better. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this first video. I will be covering JOJOLANDS in my channel from here on out through chapter reactions, reviews, or both. I have yet to decide that. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe for some more JoJo and variety content, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.